So basically, you was upset about not being selected in IIM.
Yeah, obviously that kind of gives you a feeling of failure, right? But from that episode I have learned a lot, and I always believe that failures teaches you, a lot.
तो मैंने सुना है कि आपकी जो एक्सपर्टीज़ है स्ट्रेंथनिंग पीपल, मुझे लगता है लोगों को सख्त ज़रूरत है, स्टूडेंट्स एज वेल एज वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स. सो इसको अगर थोड़ा सा मैं समझना चाहूँ, होता क्या है, करते कैसे हैं, एंड क्यों ज़रूरत है.
Right. So I will pick a leaf out of what I said few minutes back, that are we able to solve business problems through people? For example, you're playing a short ball, right? आपने थ्योरी में सीख लिया कि शॉर्ट बॉल को बैक फुट पे खेलना है, राइट? बट पुल खेलना है, कट खेलना है, क्या करना है? आप जब तक नेट में प्रैक्टिस नहीं करोगे, उसको अप्लाई नहीं करोगे ग्राउंड पे आके, देन यू विल जस्ट हैव इट इन थ्योरी, एंड फिर भी आप शॉर्ट बॉल पे फ्रंट फुट पे आओगे, आउट हो जाओगे.
From student to this cycle of how we can help develop people. So when you hire a management trainee, you hire usually for a 1 year of period, and after that it is okay, the terms and conditions come in, if you do good then only we will convert. So again here I again very strongly believe exposure.
Do you want to give some tips to students how they can overcome this out of like skill gap जो है.
चैट जीपीटी यूज करना बंद कर दो.
बंद कर देना है.
यस.
ये तो मैं कुछ उल्टा सुन रही हूँ. लाइक एवरीबडी इज सेइंग यूज एआई. वेलकम टू एचआर स्कूप. आज का ये एपिसोड बहुत ही खास होने वाला है क्योंकि आज हमारे साथ आ रहा है एचआर का पावर डोज, द पावर कपल. लेट मी वेलकम मिस्टर बसंत एंड मिस सोनम. हेलो सर. हेलो मैम. हाउ आर यू?
Inviting us. We are good. Thanks for asking.
थैंक यू. सो एज अ रिचुअल और वॉट एवर यू से, हम गेस्ट की जो जर्नी की एपिसोड का जब हम स्टार्ट करते हैं, सो इट स्टार्ट विद गेस्ट जर्नी. कैन यू जस्ट प्लीज़ टेल अस लाइक कैसे आप दोनों ने सेम एचआर, एंड दिस अ फर्स्ट टाइम, लेट मी टेल यू, ऐसा हम फर्स्ट टाइम कर रहे हैं कि कोई कपल का शूट एंड दोनों एचआर हैं. इट्स लाइक अ डॉक्टर गेट मैरिड विद डॉक्टर. सो व्हाई एचआर? ऐसा आप लोग का डिसाइडेड था और समथिंग वाज जस्ट लक और किस्मत, क्या बोलूँ मैं.
So I'll start like from my journey. I belong to Bhopal and was there in my graduation. Went to Pune for doing my masters, and that was where we met. So इनको तो हाँ देख के पहले उसमें ही वो होता ना, एक हो गई थी फैंटेसी कि हाँ यही है वो, यही है मेरी जीवन साथी. So from there we became friends, and after completing our masters, we were together for another year, and then we got married, and since then it's the power HR couple, you can say. And I can very well relate to, because whenever I share about my spouse that okay, he's also into HR, working so and so. Okay, wow, how dynamic. And sometimes it's very weird, comments also get, oh my god, बहुत ही खतरनाक combination है, कैसे survive करते हो दोनों.
So just adding to what Sonam mentioned, so how do we keep that balance, right? Is we should always understand where do we stop discussing work at home, right?
Exactly.
So how do we balance our work and professional life? That becomes very important, right? Because then you will not have any difference in office and home. True. Right? So
And more to it, how we are complementing each other. Like the good part is if we can share our office problems with each other and also give each other solutions. So that's also complementing. At the same time, how to maintain that balance, what he said, and maintain the secrecy, because there has been times we have been actual competitors. During my our instance when we were in Gujarat, so we were into competing firms, so we had to maintain the data privacy as well. So yes, that's the balance.
इससे कभी प्रॉब्लम नहीं आई आप लोगों को, मतलब जॉब ढूंढने में और इंटरव्यूज देने में? बिकॉज एज यू सेड कॉम्पिटिटिव, आपके हस्बैंड दूसरी कंपनी में एचआर हैं एंड आप उसके कॉम्पिटिटिव.
I think what kind of a value proposition you develop for yourself, and what kind of a you know uh, trust you have with your employers, that becomes very important. And at the same time, how you are able to keep that zone where you discuss and you know where to stop, right? So that is something, and I learned this from one of my very uh, uh, earlier mentors in in the corporate journey, and he once told very specific line to me, कुछ चीजें मैं अपनी वाइफ से भी शेयर नहीं करता हूँ. And that was one learning which I took in the first year itself when I was there, and I made a big mess up of one confidential thing which was there. But the confidence he gave me, like you asked that कभी को problem नहीं आती है, the confidence he gave me, I picked two very important lines from what he told. That one instance will never change how I feel about you and what I believe in your potential. So this one instance will never change that. And certain things I don't even discuss with my wife. So I think that was a great learning for me in my previous years itself. So I think it was destined to be, because I was not planning to go to that college. To be very fair about it, I took a gap of 1 year before going to MBA, but somehow it was destined, and that is what she also told me in the first few months when I felt kind of disappointed that शायद किसी और अच्छे कॉलेज में जा सकते थे. The plan always is right that I will go to IIMs, right? So the confidence which she gave me, that you would now be more sure about it because now you have met me here. So अब तुम्हें
Yes.
लगेगा कि हाँ ये college better है, right? So that is how she kind of kept that motivation going on कि हाँ ठीक है, everything is fine and good. And then from there, how do you pick up good things? How do you make sure that you are competing with the people who are in the premium schools? And then your work should speak, right? Once you're out
Right.
of college, it all depends on what kind of work you are doing, what kind of value you are adding to the organization, and that is how it has been. And I think it is a great journey till now. Going forward, we will be making sure that we add on what we are doing and
Wow.
how we are doing it.
So it was already decided. I mean, जब आपने शादी का सोचा, so it कि हम दोनों HR स्ट्रीम चूज कर रहे हैं, या फिर पहले स्ट्रीम चूज किया एंड देन शादी का डिसाइड किया?
So, like, again, going back to 12 years, when we were doing our internships and the college, we were in the college, we did not have the option of, choosing our fields in the second year now, which I have seen
Okay.
nowadays, which is there. So, it was from the starting for both of us that, okay, HR is going to be our specialization.
Okay.
So पहले HR हुआ, बाद में शादी हुई. But yes, another thing in our journey, and also this is with respect to what he was saying, that he picked from one of his very close mentors, is to maintain the secrecy and also to ensure that we are maintaining that bridge between us of a different work and of office and a home life. So we decided that we would never work together in one company. So
And
that
we
was
had
one.
offers.
We had multiple offers, many opportunities. When I got, the opportunity, especially to work with him, where he was working, but it was a call that we took together and decided that this is something we would decide that to ensure forever.
That's too good, I guess. Wow. So how come, like, HR में जाना कैसे decide किया? It was pre-decided from the day one after 12th, क्योंकि major struggle यही होता है कि HR करना है, marketing करना है. So
So I'll tell you, to be very truthful, and I'll not make it up. I decided to do MBA when I saw Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. When Shah Rukh Khan returned from US, and he came and back and told MBA complete हो गया है, right? And that is why I decided to do MBA in the
मतलब
first
आप कहना
place.
चाहते हैं फिल्मी decisions काम करते
काम
हैं?
करते हैं, बिल्कुल करते हैं, right? And it is all about what you pick from that, right? So that was the first thought कि MBA भी होता है, and that is how I picked that. But till the time I reached class 9th, so I had few of my relatives who were already into the management stream, and a couple of them were into HR. So I kept on discussing with them. I had not made a very rigid mind that मुझे HR ही करना है. I was very open that ways, but
Okay.
there was a inclination towards going to management. And
Okay.
then after a while of having a lot of deliberations, a lot of discussions from people from different field, and I believe in taking perspectives, right?
Okay.
Because that is how you learn, right? And then after quite some time of giving it a thought, I thought HR is something which is more suited to me. So
Okay.
that is how it happened. And before that, as I was mentioning, I took a gap of 1 year before going to my MBA. So I worked in Tihar jail for about 8-10 months, right? So that
Tihar
was,
jail.
yes. So I took a gap of 1 year and I was preparing for MBA, could not get through the college I was targeting in 2009. So I took a break of about a year. I joined an NGO which was working in Tihar jail for the betterment of first time convicts under trials. And there the perspective of human life changed for me, right? It was more about like the things we discussed now in terms of how you should not be judgmental, how you should be very inclusive about the things, how you should not judge people, right? How you can create more avenues to help and support to
Wow.
grow them, right? So all these things, the basics of HR, I would say I picked from there,
Wow.
and that kind of reaffirmed my belief that I want to go for HR, and that is how I did that.
वाओ! बट तिहाड़ जेल में जाने का आइडिया कहाँ से आया आपको?
So actually, my elder brother was in Delhi, and he is very close to me. He has guided me through my schooling days, right? So when I could not get the college I wanted to, right? So he was the one who supported me. That
ओके.
failures are not that you would not you can't do anything beyond this, right? So he told that you come here, spend some time away from what you're already doing, right? It is also good to take some time off from the things which are going around in your head
ट्रू.
24/7, right? And then when I went there, I it was again destined, right? I believe that few things are already decided for you. You are just playing your part in that, right? So I think I met the founder of that NGO in Delhi with him, and then it suddenly clicked that can I contribute? And it started with one weekend of contribution in that firm, and then it was about 8-10 months of journey. So
वाओ!
that is something which helped me get a lot of perspective about people, about human life in general. So that is something which I would say created my base for HR.
So basically you was upset about not being selected in IIM?
Yeah, obviously that kind of gives you a feeling of failure, right?
Okay.
But from that episode, I have learned a lot, and I always believe that failures teaches you, a lot rather than. And if then you will have a choice, right? That you want to just think about that failure, or how do you want to think about the future, right?
Wow.
So the choice you make will define what kind of person you become later in life. So that is how it happened.
And ma'am, you was also preparing for IIM?
Yes, to be very honest, I was never a very bright student. So till 12th I was good, but after that I was actually also into dancing. I'm a trained Bharatanatyam dancer,
Wow.
and I did my post graduation also into from Prayag Sangeet Samiti into Bharatanatyam. So honestly, that time I was a little confused for those 3 years on which line to go ahead with. After I completed 12th, it was something like CA. I want to do it, but that time my father, met with a sudden thing, and yeah, he was no more. So then there was something, no financial liability as such, but something that, okay, I want to do something. I want to
Okay.
start earning.
Okay.
So along with my graduation, I started working and I was teaching in schools. I was doing a lot of workshops, classes I had opened. So it was a dual mind which was going on.
Okay.
But though in the third year, I कि चलो हम कोचिंग तो स्टार्ट करते हैं एंट्रेंस तो देते हैं you'll have options at least in hand. So, but yes, CAT was not good what I scored. And then finally, after a lot of consultation and discussion with families, with family elders, my cousins who were doing MBA, so I decided that okay, this is something and I can always come back to, and maybe open my own school.
Okay.
But yes, for the time being, let's go ahead, with MBA and start working and enter into the professional world to experience that as well.
Wow.
HR purposefully, somewhat to what he said, but for me it has been more about the people around me. I was always the go-to person to them naturally. So
Okay.
हाँ आपको वो typical answer मेरा उस समय था when I was doing the taking up the interviews as a fresher कि हाँ भाई I'm a people person, and that's what has brought me into HR, and I still believe that I'm a people person, and that's what naturally comes to me. So hence HR.
बट मुझे लगता है मोस्ट ऑफ एच आर्स थिंग्स लाइक वो एच आर बने एंड देन दे वर नोइंग दे वर पीपल पर्सन, बट ये तो बहुत बाद में पता चलता है ना. आई मीन इनिशियली हाउ यू विल कम टू नो एज अ स्टूडेंट व्हेन यू आर डूइंग MBA. सो उसमें आप कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करते हो दैट यू आर अ पीपल पर्सन और मे बी यू आर नॉट.
Right.
एंड यस, एक और मेरा डाउट है, जो पीपल पर्सन नहीं है क्या वो एक अच्छा HR नहीं बन सकता?
So look, I'll answer it one by one. So the first question which you asked is that how do you identify that you're a people person or not, right? Do you actually know that what are your strengths or not? So I would say that the first few years in your from 10th, I would say, right?
Upbringing.
From 10th to 12th, or say even graduation, couple of years, you would know that which kind of roles or which kind of work streams would interest you. So at times it is not also about only about am I a people person or not, right? So and it is all about not just selection, it is also about elimination also, right?
Right.
So say for example, I want to go to finance, might not be my strong suit, right? So I will eliminate finance, right?
Okay.
So it is a combination of selection and eliminations, right?
Wow.
So it is not a unilateral thing which I would look at, right? The second question which you asked is can people who are not so people person can become HRs? Right? HR is not only about people, right? It is so. Just to give you a context around it, if you see, the journey of HR has transformed in so many ways now, right? Earlier, it used to be called personal management, right? It used to just manage personnel. Before that, it was just IR, right? In between, somewhere, it was more about payroll and compliances only, right? Then gradually it became human resources. Then it became human resource management. Now it is HR business partner, right? So and the ask from HR is also very different. If nowadays, if you don't understand business, if you're not contributing to business, if you're not understanding numbers, I think you don't earn a seat there,
Wow.
right? And that is one typical problem which HRs would share,
HRs would share.
that we are not valued, right? You will be valued if you bring value, right?
Correct.
So if you don't bring value, if you don't understand business, if you are not contributing to the long-term strategic vision of what the business stands for, then you might not be getting a seat on the table, right? So I think it is a combination of what people and business aspects you bring together.
Right. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I completely agree, because then HRs are just seen as they arrange birthdays, cakes for us, they arrange rangoli competition and
Yes.
diya competition, and that's what in most of the companies they are labeled as. So yes, you have to make your stand in business by understanding people, at the same time understanding business and how you can balance,
Of course.
bringing in the right potential, at the same time retention and development, along with I'm aligning in the individual and organization goals. So there, yes, HR plays a very, very crucial role.
So make
HR
it
has
more simpler
evolved.
for you to understand is, are you able to solve business problems through people?
Through people.
Wow.
So
Yes.
in the center of the pyramid always lies business. So everybody in the company or the organization exists because of business.
Correct.
Business नहीं होगा तो कोई नहीं होगा, right?
True.
ना HR होगा, ना marketing होगा, ना finance होगा. So if and everybody is contributing towards business only, right? So if you are able to solve business problems through people, you're doing good as an HR.
मुझे लगता है सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स में अगर मैं बात करूं तो सबसे ज़्यादा जो इवॉल्व हुआ है वो शायद HR ही हुआ है.
I would agree to some extent,
And
but
disagree as well. Yes.
Departments.
I would agree to some extent, and why I say some extent, because I think the overall working in corporates have evolved a lot,
Yes.
right? From a typical promoter-led family to a more corporate setups, right? Being more adaptive, being more agile, being more competitive, right? So if the whole ecosystem of corporate changes, one department changing would not suffice.
True.
right? So you will have to have overall changes, right? So I think HR में तो काफी changes आए हैं, like we discussed, but I think other departments are also equally adapting, changing, and reinventing themselves. So I think it is an overall change which is coming to the corporate world.
वाओ. सो मैंने सुना है कि आपकी जो एक्सपर्टीज़ है स्ट्रेंथनिंग पीपल, मुझे लगता है लोगों को सख्त ज़रूरत है, स्टूडेंट्स एज वेल एज वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स. सो इसको अगर थोड़ा सा मैं समझना चाहूँ, होता क्या है, करते कैसे हैं, एंड क्यों ज़रूरत है?
Right. So I will pick a leaf out of what I said few minutes back, that are we able to solve business problems through people, right? So to make it simpler for you to understand, every organization today in the country or in the world would have access to similar kind of machinery, to similar kind of capital, thoda bahut upar niche, but similar kind of capital, right? Similar kind of finances. What differentiates them is people, right? Which what kind of people you have in your organization, right? And if you don't leverage that, then everybody is doing the same thing.
True.
So your main differentiator becomes people. And as a function, I believe that strengthening people lies in the heart of what we are doing, right? And what do I mean by strengthening people? It is very simple for me, at least, and I like to keep things simple, because too many jargons, too many fancy words don't help. So for me, strengthening people lies in a very simple concept for me. It is continuous learning and applying that learning.
वाह.
Right. So when I say continuous learning, you cannot have a set goalpost for yourself, right? The goalpost has to move farther and farther, because when you are here, you have to achieve this, and so on and so forth, right? Because if you go and achieve this and you are satisfied, then you're not growing as a professional.
True.
And if you're not growing as a professional, your company will not grow, right? So that is the first aspect of it, continual learning. The second aspect which I talked about is application of learning. बहुत बार आपको देखोगे कि people are doing too many courses, every certification. Are you actually applying it?
Yes.
For example, I want to improve my English, for example, right? People would go and mug up the dictionary, right? They will learn 500 words in a day. Are you actually using it? No.
No.
So after a month, you will be again back to zero, right? So if you're not applying it, then you're gone. You're not no longer in the game. For example, in today's world, and if you're talking about students, IPL is going on, right? So if you are not applying the learnings of the net session, for example, you're playing a short ball, right? आपने थ्योरी में सीख लिया कि शॉर्ट बॉल को बैक फुट पे खेलना है, राइट? बट पुल खेलना है, कट खेलना है, क्या करना है, आप जब तक नेट में प्रैक्टिस नहीं करोगे, उसको अप्लाई नहीं करोगे ग्राउंड पे आके, देन यू विल जस्ट हैव इट इन थ्योरी, एंड फिर भी आप शॉर्ट बॉल पे फ्रंट फुट पे आओगे, आउट हो जाओगे.
It's like a half knowledge.
Yes. So if you don't apply it, then it is of I think no use.
No use.
Right? And few other things which I think helps in strengthening people, and especially if you talk about students, is what kind of diverse skill set you are bringing. Right? So diverse skill sets may your domain knowledge obviously is there, right? That is a basic. I'm not discounting that out off, right? What I'm saying is, apart from your domain knowledge, what expertise can you bring in, right? So you have. So earlier you would have heard it is jack of all trades, master of none. I don't believe in that. I believe jack of all trades, master of one.
One.
Better if master of few, right? So that is something which I believe students can look into in terms of making a diverse skill set. The second thing which I think is gaining again different experiences. If you see in different countries, MBA programs would have lot of internships, not just one, right?
Okay.
They will have lot of exchange programs, right? They will have lot of on the job experiences, right? So it is all about how diverse experiences you can get and learn from them.
Wow.
That also helps a lot. I think ownership helps a lot in terms of students, because if you feel ki my college will do this for me, right? My faculty will do this for me, or my coach will do this for me, it won't help. It will help to a certain extent only, right? But then again you are stuck here.
Correct.
Right? If you want to go up and beyond, you have to take ownership about what you want to actually achieve.
Okay. आप गैप देख पाते हो यहाँ पे कि बेसिकली सीख तो लेते हैं बट अप्लाई नहीं करते हैं. आपने बहुत अच्छी मतलब बहुत ही सिंपल लैंग्वेज में समझाने की कोशिश किया कि बेसिकली लर्निंग हो गया बट अप्लाई नहीं किया, सो देर इज़ नो मीनिंग ऑफ.
Exactly.
बट ये स्टूडेंट्स के लिए कौन से कुछ ऐसे प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं जहाँ पे वो इस तरीके की लाइक बड़ी प्रोग्राम्स, और जैसे आपने इंटर्नशिप बोला, बट मुझे लगता ही नहीं है बच्चे इंटर्नशिप सीरियसली करते हैं.
See, I tell you, we like because we invite students for internships. So it वो बोलते हैं ना ताली दोनों हाथों से बजती है. So the kind of exposure you are giving to the student is also very very important. At the
Yes.
same time, the ownership, like what he said, and the interest level the student is bringing into the organization is also equally important. So typically what I have seen, what organizations do is internship hai, in HR hai for example, so calling करा लो, recruitment कर दो. There is no specific project which is given to them apart from it, or maybe some arrangement or in employee engagement activities as an assistant. That's it. That
Okay.
is the most of the interviews I have done with students are just finished in this. This is what they have done. So there, I think we as organization also, or as HR professionals also have a equal responsibility. Maybe if not in HR, if in any of the other function, if you are hiring an intern for a period, so ensure that a right project is given to him.
Wow.
He or she is not assigned or meant to be done routine job responsibilities and made as an assistant of any of the team members. So वो actual learning वहाँ पे फिर खत्म हो जाती है. So where you actually engage them into close projects, where you actually give a right exposure, there the real on-the-job experience comes in, where they are able to relate with the theory and the all the sessions, classroom sessions they have actually done in the college.
सो बेसिकली आप कहना चाह रहे हो कि इंटर्न्स के भी KRAs होना चाहिए.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yes.
And I'll just
I
pick
don't
a
think
leaf.
so any company is following it. At least in not,
No,
I'm not
the
talking about
times are
very big
changing now.
MNCs,
Yeah.
but yes.
Times are changing now, and I will pick a leaf from what Sonam mentioned here, and what you also spoke about, that internships are not taken seriously, right? So I used to guide or coach
Just
students.
to add, both sides,
Yeah, both
not
the
from
sides.
students as well
Yes.
as not from employer.
Both the sides. So I used to have students as my mentees from colleges. I think personally, and I have seen it for myself when I was sitting in campus placement, right? I'll just give you one example from that period. So there was this company which I appeared for, and I had done a project, right? And it was a good project, and I think that landed me the job I got, right? So in the first company before the one which I was selected for, I was in the final round of interview, and when I explained the project, the person taking the interview, he felt that I'm bluffing, right? So, and that is how I realized the importance of a good project. And
Yes.
when the company which I got selected in, I think my interview went for about 1.5 hours, and about 50-55 minutes was
For
just my
internship?
project. No, my final placement.
Fine, okay.
Right. So, and my whole interview was surrounded with what I have done in my
Done in the
project.
internship.
Right?
Yes.
And I tell the students with whom I interact with two things, right? And that will give you the reality of life, right? One is, for an organization, you are just an intern.
Yes.
The stakes for the company is nothing. You will come 2 months, you will go back, right? So I tell this to the students that company के लिए तुम बस एक intern हो, right? And आपके लिए ये internship ही सब कुछ है,
Yes.
right?
Wow.
And why I tell this is because for if you go to colleges, right, what is different? If I see 10 people, 10 students, everything is same, right? Their dress would be same, their CVs would be same, their marks would be similar, not same, right? Because you will have a similar group of students here. Even the format of the CV is same, which is given from the college.
Yes,
right?
nowadays that is
So
also
if
started.
you change the name in the CV, nothing
Nothing makes
is
you
detected.
different. Yeah.
Right. So what I tell them is what makes the difference is what you have done in the internship. Right. Because when you go for an interview in the final placements, the only thing which you can differentiate yourself from is what you have done in those 2 months. Have you added any new value, or you were just doing what others were doing, right? So if you
Right.
are a notch higher there, you have created a differential proposition for yourself, and then that will be rewarded.
Correct.
If not, it will not be rewarded.
Correct.
Right? And for the companies, I think it is a great opportunity to take value from interns who are coming in, because they have a very high hunger of doing things. Right? Companies at times don't do that, but now I as I mentioned, now the times
Things
are
are
changing.
changing.
Right? Now the thought process is changing, it is evolving, and now interns are also treated equally in terms of what value they can create. And 2 months is a good time, right, for any project to run. So I think times are changing now, and we as HR professionals have all the responsibility to make sure that this is something which moves in a positive direction.
Wow. So, are you working like some kind of initiatives around interns कि उनका internship make sure कि वो जो भी जितने भी आप interns hire कर रहे हो, they will complete their internship properly and then they will be given certificate. Else वो रिश्तेदारी वाला jack लगा के फूफा जी, मामा जी and all, you know.
See, I tell you, in my last organization, we used to like hire again. First, the purpose of hiring a internship was identified, and then students were called for
Wow.
completing or undergoing the 2 months or 3 months internships with us. So we had tie up with specific colleges, engineering colleges, and they used to work on special projects. So every 15 days, myself along with the mentor who was appointed to the internship, we used to have reviews, and at the end of completion of the period, a proper report was presented to maybe the director or the leadership team of the center, and post that only they were allowed to go. So it was a
Wow.
proper process which was set, and I still try whenever I hire a intern to follow that. So they also feel included first, and second they feel that okay, हम कुछ करके जा रहे हैं यहाँ पे,
Valued.
value करके जा रहे हैं कुछ यहाँ पे, and those are actually life projects which give them also the interest, and at the same time give us the value addition of
Right.
getting fresh brains, or maybe at times as professionals we are not able to take up special or new projects
True.
because we are completely busy in our routine roles and responsibilities. So actually utilizing such interns helps organization, like what he said, as well as the students. So
Correct.
making a proper framework around it and ensuring that it is done and executed in a planned way, that really helps.
वाओ, आपने कॉलेज की बात बोली एंड कॉलेज में कैंपस सिलेक्शन हार्डली 10% स्टूडेंट्स ही हैं जो सिलेक्ट होते हैं. 90% तो जस्ट दे हैव टू गो आफ्टर कंप्लीशन ऑफ एमबीए एंड देन दे हैव टू गो जस्ट सबमिट द रेज्यूमे एंड ऑल. सो वो जो 10% है, व्हाई नॉट मी, सो वो कैसे एक वो 10% में क्या अलग है और वो 90% में क्या अलग है कि 10% भी शायद मैं ज़्यादा बोल रही हूँ.
Great. So look, whenever a company comes in for campus, right? So for example, when I would hire a campus recruit, I would not look at too many things from a campus hire, right? In terms of experience, I would say, right? Because I am cognizant of the fact that the person is a fresher, right? Now, what I will look at, is he or she is having a learning aptitude, is the skill, and again the first part which we discussed about domain bases are covered or not, right? And the third thing is the attitude, right? And compatibility in terms of your value system of the company is right or not.
Right.
Right, that becomes very, very important. Skills can be taught, right? And when there is a skill versus will judgment, I will always pick will, right?
Wow.
Because if there is a will, you can always learn the skill and then perform to what the expectation is, right? So I think from a campus perspective, I would say cover your domain, be master of one, like we discussed earlier, and keep your attitude in terms of learning very, very high. Be very adaptive, be very agile, and be receptive of what can come. And you have to just trust the system there. You have to just trust the people there, so that you are getting the right kind of direction, right kind of coaching, mentoring, and then go up the ladder, right? So that is how I feel student placements are seen.
वाओ.
And to add to him, I think
की बात करते हैं, ये जो गैप है, ऑफ कोर्स मोदी जी ने मतलब बहुत सारे स्कीम्स चल रहे हैं, हमारी गवर्नमेंट बहुत सारा काम कर रही है. सो क्या सारे जो स्किल डेवलपमेंट के अराउंड जो काम है वो सारा मोदी जी तो नहीं कर सकते फॉर श्योर. सो एज एन एचआर आपको मुझे बहुत सारे काम करने हैं. सो ऐसा क्या करना चाहिए हम लोगों को एज ए एम्प्लॉयर, एज कि जो ये स्टूडेंट्स और एम्प्लॉय एंड एम्प्लॉयर के बीच में गैप है वो फुलफिल हो पाए.
see,
ये गैप तो एटीट्यूड से ज़्यादा स्किल का है. आई होप यू अग्री ऑन दिस.
see, in my last organization, again, the new government schemes like NEEM and ITIs, we used to promote
Yes.
from them. So yes, a good number of resources used to enter from there. So yes, these schemes are definitely helping, but now they were initially from that scheme promoted for a certain period.
Yes.
After that, what? So under that scheme, they usually for maybe 1 year, 2 years, I believe is the max. So उसके बाद में क्या? So उसके बाद again वहाँ पे how in that 2 years the person has performed, how what kind of efforts over and above the others the person has taken to show his caliber, to show his learning interest in the organization. So that are the identifying factors according to me. So from where we used to actually pick up people and maybe promote them and convert as permanent employees in the organization.
Okay.
And talking about from student to this cycle of how we can help develop people. So when you hire a management trainee, you hire usually for a 1 year of period, and after that it is okay, the terms and conditions come in, if you do good then only we will convert. So again here I again very strongly believe exposure.
Yes.
Exposure, mentoring, coaching is very, very important, because I have seen both kind of scenarios where the right platform was not given, and maybe after 1 year we did not want it, but the management trainee himself or herself didn't felt included,
Right.
and they left the organization. So we as organization, as leaders, also have to ensure that we are giving the right platform, we are giving the right training, mentoring to them. Because in that stage, if the attitude is right, skill development definitely blossoms, and they have a long way to go ahead. Because I tell you my example, when my first organization, the kind of exposure I got there was tremendous. I was never treated as a typical management trainee. I was given the opportunity to work on lot of policy frameworks. I developed a lot of SOPs for that organization because it was in a developing phase, and I was given a free hand to even do trainings in my first year. I used to deliver as a faculty,
Wow.
even make training modules. So that exposure helped me in my career progression plan. And when even after that, when I went for giving my interviews, the interviewer honestly did not believe, okay, I don't think so, you're bluffing, this doesn't happen in the first year. So I used to give real life examples. So that exposure we are honestly also equally responsible for giving.
Okay. But when we talk about recruitment, so everybody wants experienced people. Nobody wants to train. But as you said, like you hire n number of people in few months. कैसे train करते हैं आप लोग?
So look, you will have to. So I will not use the cliche line of thinking out of the box, right? So, I believe you have to move away from the traditional ways, right? Like for example, we discussed, right, that the whole corporate setup, the working framework is transforming, right? So you can't be in the typical world of trainings which happened say 5-10 years
Earlier.
back, right? The example of COVID, for example, right? We were not traveling physically, right? The classroom sessions were not happening. We leveraged tech, right? I think the best of the best learning modules, online learning modules, were developed in the COVID times. Right?
Yes.
So that was opportunity when there was challenge posed, right? So I'll give you a couple of examples from my experience, right? So when you say skill gap, right? So how differently we were treating skill gap and how we developed things which were not available in this industry. For example, in a chemical plant, safety is of prime importance, right? We hire freshers, and freshers would not understand the gravity of what kind of chemical is used, right? What kind of interlocks are there. We just gamified the whole process, right? We brought the whole plant into a game, and if the person is coming in as a fresher, after the classroom training, he or she would play that game without losing any life. If that stage is cleared, then only they were sent on the shop floor.
Okay.
Right. So, are you moving away from the traditional ways? Are you creating avenues where learning can be fun? And I always believe that learning by push is always a challenge. If you are creating pull towards a learning program, or a skill development program, that is something people will actually come and ask for. And I'll tell you one thing new, think something which adds value to the overall setup.
Do you want to give some tips to students how they can overcome this out of like skill gap जो है?
चैट जीपीटी यूज करना बंद कर दो.
बंद कर देना है.
Yes.
ये तो मैं कुछ उल्टा सुन रही हूँ. Like everybody is saying use AI. I recently have attended one conclave of.
See, I'm not like against AI, but again, these tools I feel restrict your mind, restrict your thinking capacity, because you get so dependent on them that you're not even able to write yourself a mail or draft yourself a mail which maybe has 2-3 paragraphs and it has to be sent to the senior management, or maybe when you're proposing something new. And I've seen this happening. So the वही वाली बात है, हमारे टाइम पे तो नहीं था चैट जीपीटी, और मे बी उसके पहले द यूज ऑफ phones, mobiles were not so much, and our parents remembered each and every phone number. So the difference, yes, is there. It is coming, but at the same time, again, like what I said, is limiting yourself because of these tools, subject matter expertise, and not paying attention to your domain knowledge, and more importantly, what actually is your interest, what is actually your goal in life. I think somewhere that is also not, वो clarity नहीं है अभी students में. They just want to grab whatever is coming in their hand. So for me, I think these are, the major three points.
Okay. चैट जीपीटी यूज करना बंद करवा दिया आपने. दूसरा, क्लैरिटी के लिए what they should do?
Clarity is that, again, like what you were asking us, why HR?
Okay.
For
So
me, that is
eliminate
clarity.
first. कि numbers
Eliminate.
नहीं पसंद तो
हाँ.
maths हटा दो.
Because nowadays, again, I don't think so. Now we are in the world where you have to be jack of everything. The demand is more of people who are subject matter expertise. Like, especially if I talk of the current industry where I am, we seriously look for people who are, niche, who have that subject matter expertise.
Okay.
And that is the demand. And you actually have that gap in the market, where you have people into several things, but a core subject matter expert is usually, and it's of high demand, to be very honest with
So
you.
to be focused on any one skill or maybe about their interest area.
Their interest area.
Okay. So can you highlight some pointers which can be help for employers जो आप अपनी इंडस्ट्रीज में यूज कर रहे हो या फिर आपने अभी कभी किए हो कि वो स्किल गैप को फिल करने के लिए क्या करना चाहिए?
I think from a skill gap perspective, first of all, you should understand the first step would be to assess what is the gap, right? क्योंकि आपको gap पता नहीं होगा तो आप fill क्या करोगे?
True.
Right. So that is the first step, I think. The second thing is, which I think I've seen and I've done, which has helped a lot, is in terms of giving exposure through job rotations, giving exposure through different projects, enrollment in different kind of cross-functional teams, right? Because then you are not doing your regular stuff day in day out, right? You are also having diverse things to do,
Yes.
which helps you think. Like I'm not saying ChatGPT use मत करो, I'm saying दिमाग भी use करो, right? So when you are doing different things, you are bound to think about uh, a diverse set of problems. And I think job rotations, involvement to cross-functional teams, leading certain work streams which are not your day-to-day jobs, actually helps, right? And I think from a support perspective, I think mentoring, buddyship program, these things help a lot, right? Because what happens, and one of my mentors told me this, few years back, and I'm very good at keeping my mentors very close to me. So
Wow.
I have my, and I'm very fortunate to have so many mentors in different stages of my life, right? So that has actually shaped me up. So one of my mentors told me a few years back कि जहाँ तुम सोचोगे शायद दूसरा आदमी उसके आगे का सोच रहा होगा, राइट? सो आपकी सोच जहाँ खत्म हो जाएगी, सो देन व्हेन यू टॉक टू योर मेंटर्स, व्हेन यू टॉक टू योर कोचेस, they will share different perspectives about the same thing,
Yes.
right? And that will help you develop yourself much more, right? So I think these programs are also very, very helpful when it comes to organizations.
Correct.
Adding to what he said, when you talk of the performance management and talent management process, so uh, along with the goals which are set for a person to achieve, or what you say the key result areas, you also have an area which is individual development plan.
Right.
So individual development plan cannot be separate to your work plan. So unless and until they marry each other, as well as you marry your interest, again I'll bring back interest, what aligns you to take up that training, because interest ही नहीं होगा, so मैं 2 दिन की advanced Excel की training करके आ जाऊंगी, so at the end of the day I'm not using it because I don't have any interest to it. So it's a loss to the organization on what the cost it has incurred on getting the program for the employees, as well as it is a loss to the employee, because maybe a push which I did to ensure maybe 100% participation of what all nominations were there from the managers, that happened, but ultimately it is not resulting in
Right.
the training effectiveness ही नहीं आ रही है, उसका actual practicality काम में ही नहीं आ रही है. So again, interest along with marrying to the goal, why you want to go into that training, why the enrollment is done, and how it is going to benefit your work as well as your personal development, should be very closely measured.
करेक्ट. बट मुझे लगता है कि अभी जो स्टूडेंट्स को जो जो जॉब मार्केट है या जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है, बट ये जो बच्चे हैं ये वहाँ तक नहीं पहुँच पा रहे हैं. तो उसके अराउंड आप जो बात कर रहे हैं वो इट इज़ वंस दे आर प्लेस्ड एंड दे आर गेटिंग बेनिफिट्स थ्रू एम्प्लॉयर, बट एम्प्लॉयर तो यहाँ रिस्ट्रिक्ट है ना, इनको ले ही नहीं रहा है. वो ये गैप की बात कर रही हूँ मैं, इस गैप को कैसे फिल करना चाहिए employers को specifically? More and more training and program, or more and more like giving opportunity to fresher who don't know anything. So ऐसा क्या करें जिससे, जैसे आपने बताया कि आप लोग 3000 employees 2 महीने में हायर कर लेते हो, वो कैसे करते हो आप?
So I think
बिकॉज इतने एक्सपीरियंस लोग तो अवेलेबल नहीं है as per my
yes,
information.
yes. So these are not experienced folks which we are talking about, right? So then you have to understand that these folks who are coming in for that short duration, what work they are doing, right? What kind of a skill set do you need, right? And do you have structured programs that when these people come in, right? Do you have a structured program for first 3 days which will enable them to do those particular 5-6 action items which are required for completing their job successfully.
Correct.
Right. So then again the identification and development of the programs to solve what they are trying to solve in those 2-3 months.
Okay.
Right. So that I think clarity of thoughts from the organization's perspective in respect to what I am training for, why I am training, and how I am training.
Yes.
Right. So these 3 things are very, very important when it comes to having freshers being hired at high numbers.
बट एक टारगेट तो रखना चाहिए ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को कि इतना परसेंटेज ऑफ पीपल आई विल हायर फ्रेशर्स ओनली.
Yes, and I see organizations doing this nowadays. Right? Because I have seen organizations, and I talk to my peers who are in other organizations also. So like we were discussing about internship programs, right? I have seen organizations who hire interns against positions.
Okay.
They're not hiring interns for the sake of it.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So the intent is internship uh, will be offered to people against a available role.
Okay.
If they do well, there will be an evaluation, and if the evaluation is successful, the person is placed against that role.
Okay.
If not, obviously they will not compromise on the quality of hire,
Wow.
but that opportunity is always there, right?
Okay.
So I've seen that this mindset also changing, that internship is just for the sake of it, right? So that is also something which is being done now.
हमने स्ट्रेंथनिंग की बात की स्टूडेंट्स के लिए. अगर मैं बात करती हूँ जो एक्सपीरियंस्ड फोक्स हैं, वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, लाइक 5 to 6 years एक्सपीरियंस, दे आर जस्ट बिजी विथ 9 to 5 जॉब. एक वो टिपिकल डेली टास्क मिला हुआ है, KRA सेट हैं, टारगेट सेट हैं, एंड दे आर वर्किंग अराउंड. उसमें स्ट्रेंथनिंग कैसे करना? इफ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज नॉट हेल्पिंग, देन हाउ दे कैन स्ट्रेंथनिंग देमसेल्फ?
Right. So look, I would say 2-3 things which kind of differentiates from if you're growing after say 4-5 years or not, or you're stuck there, right? So I'll pick from what you said. They're busy in that 9 to 5 job, right? I think they should change their 9 to 5 job. And by changing jobs, I don't mean change the organization. I mean that they should look around and see what else can I do, right?
टाइम ही कहाँ मिलता है सर. लोग बोलते हैं हम तो थक जाते हैं. 9 to 5 मीन्स हो गया 8 घंटे की नौकरी.
But again, here, what different are you doing?
Okay.
जो हम पहले भी बात
During
कर
those 8 hours.
What
Exactly.
different are you doing?
And for
How are you making the organization see yourself that okay, he's doing something different. Taking up projects yourself, taking up new assignments yourself, showing the interest that okay, I want to do this, I'm interested to do this. So then only you can promote your growth.
Okay.
Coming back to the time piece, I feel you always make time for what is important for you. Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So you are always busy for things that are not important to you, but you will always make time for something which is important to you. And I believe that how you are taking ownership of your own career, right? So that is very, very important. Are you taking ownership of your own career, right? By grabbing opportunities